Hello everybody, I have a empty scene here. We're going to start working on getting some randomness being able to be used within our blueprints. And what we're going to do is kind of like a um, object that is moving around on a path and it chooses to go on a random direction. So there's not going to be any agency with this really simple AI. It's just going to really be able to choose a direction. That's like the only thing that it gets to choose. It doesn't look at the environment or decides how to go in any particular direction other than it being completely random. So I'm going to create a blueprint class. It's going to be an actor. And this is going to be my random AI. And I will throw it into the scene. Let's bring it up a little bit. And then in here, I'm going to add component a sphere just so that we have something to look at. So when we look inside of the game engine and we play, we have this sphere. Okay, let's go back into our blueprint. Now we're going to do the things with the event tick. We might use the begin play as well, but I don't need the on actor overlap right now. So I can get rid of that. And then let's look at setting random values. So I can do a random on int random integer, and then we have random integer in range. This is the one that we'll be using, but the random integer will give us a random number between 0 and max -1. But in random in range, it gives us the ability to set a min and max value, which in this case is going to be pretty useful to us. So let's say we set the min and max right here to 0 and 4, and let's create a variable. And this is going to be our random int, and let's set this to integer. We can tell it to set random int. We can connect it here, and then output that. And then let's just go ahead and print the string. So I'm going to compile this. Basically, when we start the game, it's going to go through and set a random value for an integer. Then, and the random integer is going to be either 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. So there's 5 different possibilities because we are starting at 0. And then in string, where we're going to print, let's just print the value of that integer. Okay, closing out of that, and let's play this. So here we got a value of 1. I'm going to play it again. 3, 2. So you can see each time we start it, it's going to have a different value. So how can we use this ability to be able to do something with our sphere object? Well, what we can do is, let's start off by set relative transform for the sphere. Okay, so we have this sphere object. We're going to set values. I am going to split this structure, and then I'm going to be affecting the transform, so let's split that one as well. Now we have access to the float values for x, y, and z. So let's go ahead and do a set relative, or not set, sorry, get relative transform for the sphere. Let's split that pin structure, split the location, so that way we have the x, y, and z. We can have two of these nodes, or we can delete one of them and just connect it from the same one, because we're going to be accessing the same object here. Okay, so we want to set this value to do something based off of whatever the value we get up here. So let's have it move. We have positive x, negative x, positive y, and negative y. So we have 4 different objects. So let's set the random range from 0 to 3. And then what we can do is a switch on it. There we go. So this switch gives us ability to do different things based off of whatever we get the condition here. So what I'm going to do is we have this random integer, and I'm going to tell it to get that integer and plug it in here. So now it has a possibility of being 0, 1, 2, or 3. And then what we can do is add pins. So it starts off with 0, 1, 2, 3. This here is going to be the basic structure of what we are going to be setting. So let's say 0 is going to mean that we're going to move an additional unit here. So let's connect everything, and we'll do it on the x. So what we'll do is float plus float. So we're going to take whatever is in the x and add it here, and we'll leave it at 1 for now. Okay, so I'm going to select all of these nodes, move it over, Control C, Control V. Now here, what I can do is take this same thing, but make it -1, so it's going to be going in the opposite direction. Okay, let's move these over, give ourselves a little bit more space. And then I'm going to do Control V. And now what I'm going to do is connect the Y instead of the X. So if I connect the Y there, and then reconnect the X directly here, we have the Y moving in a positive direction while the other ones stay the same. Moving this all over again, and then doing, actually let's copy this one since this has the work we need done right here. Control C, Control V. And then on the last one here, it's the same as what we were doing with the Y last time, except that we're going to set a negative value. Okay, let's compile this, and we'll test it in scene. So now we can see when it runs, it comes towards us. Run it again. It's going away from us. Going away from us again. Now it's going towards the left. Now it's going towards the right. So depending on the random number that it is generating, it's going to choose to go in a different direction. Now this is kind of a good start. We get the object moving right from the beginning, but let's say we want it to keep on making different decisions and doing different things. So I'm going to go into here. Let's add another option. So right now it can move in any direction, but I'm going to have another option, so I can add another pin here. And let's move this out of the way. And I'm going to do Control V. This is going to connect directly to that one. And then I'm going to delete this float plus float and just connect it directly. So this will be it staying completely still. It's not going to move. So we can test that. Play. It's moving towards us. There, we got one right away, or really close to right away. It's staying still. It's not going to move. Okay, so we have now, it can move in different directions. And we have an option for it to stop. So I am happy with all of this. I'm going to select all of this and right click on it and going to say collapse to function, just to clean up our workspace here a little bit more. And on this function, that's you can see it gives us all the information we need here. But what I want to do is rename it. Let's go back to the event graph. There we go. This is going to be our movement for that object. Okay, so what we can do now is have it make decisions and choose a random direction that it's going to move off into at any certain moment. I want to control the speed a little bit of this tick event because it's going to be working really, really fast. So what I'm going to do is do a set actor tick interval. So the set actor tick interval will let us set the speed at what we want. By default it is set to 0, and being at 0 basically makes it go as fast as the computer can every single frame. So on this one, what I want to do is make sure that I set it to maybe 1/100th of a second. So I'm going to say 0.01. So every 100th of a second, we're going to do something here. And then let's test this, and you'll kind of see the speed change of what it's moving at. So I like that speed. That's working at a good speed we can work at. Now I want to be able to set a random value here in the tick event, but I don't want it to happen every single tick. I want it to happen a set number of times. So what I can do is let's create another variable, and this is going to be our counter, And I'm going to set this to an integer. And then what I can do is tell it to set counter. I'm going to compile this, and the counter value by default is going to be 0. That's good. I'm going to connect the set here. And I'm going to say get counter, and then we're going to do int plus int. I think I chose the wrong thing. Let's try that again. Int plus int. Integer plus integer. There, yeah, I did choose the wrong one. So I'm going to take whatever the current value of the counter is and plug it into the counter. So it's taking the counter and adding 1. And then we can set this movement here. But let's create a branch, so a condition. And then we'll connect this into the false input for right now. And the condition we're going to say is if this counter is less than 100, or it's over 100, it's going to do something, or else it's going to do this. So we can set a integer is greater than. So we'll say if the counter is greater than 100, we will do something. And if it is not, we're going to do this. So if we compile this just so that we can see right now, it should still be moving in whatever that random direction we set it to at the beginning. So let's play. Well, we have it halted. There we go. Now, if we go in here, we can see that we have it moving at least for 100 units of this, so that way we can make a change here. What's the change that we want to do here? We basically want to randomize the random number. So I'm going to copy and paste. So we're going to set that random number to a new random range. And after that's set, let's tell it to reset the counter back to, to 0. So we'll say set counter, and we'll set it here to 0. So by setting the counter back to 0, what it is doing is resetting this process over here, so that way every time this hits 100, it will make a new decision. So let's compile this and look at it and play. So we can see it's moving towards us. Now it's moving away, moving towards us, away, moving towards the right. So it's going to keep on changing directions or continuing on with the same direction, because that's a possibility. But every 100 units of the counter action that it's happening, it's choosing to move in a direction, either moving one of the different directions or stopping. So I finally got one that it stopped for a moment. I'm inside the sphere. But that is how we can start getting a object moving around in a random direction and setting up its own path. It's not detecting any collisions or anything like that. It's just going through and moving whatever random way the numbers end up generating. Alright, so that's it for this lesson. We will see you guys in the next one.